There are 8 football players who will have a pivotal 2024-25 that will largely determine their careers from now on. And one of them is Ansu Fati. The Barcelona youngster has a lot to prove in the new campaign, as he has not been at his best since suffering that horrific knee injury in November 2020. But after a loan spell at Brighton last season, where he again failed to impress, he is now part of the Barcelona squad that has been completely rebuilt under Hansi Flick. Yes, he still has a lot of work to do, but the positive thing for him is that he's still only 21 and has plenty of football ahead of him. On the other hand, what about Jack Grealish? The man has just turned 29 and he'll definitely want to be at the top of his game at Man City if he wants to remain at the club. Jack had a tough season last term, scoring just 3 goals in 1,000 minutes of action for the Citizens in their record quest for a 4th consecutive Premier League title. To top it all off, he was left out of England's squad for the European Championships. So yeah, Ansu and Jack have a lot to show in 2024-25, but their situation is hardly comparable to that of Marcus Rashford. Well, the Englishman faces a crucial 2024-25 season, and all or nothing is the least that can be said about his situation. To put it simply, if he fails again this season, it's safe to speculate that Rashford won't be part of the Red Devils next year. After an outstanding 2022-23 season, in which Rashford scored 30 goals in all competitions and was considered one of the best players in the world, his form has diminished significantly over the past season. He struggled with inconsistency, fitness issues, adapting to Erik ten Hag's changing tactical demands, and, of course, a few off-field scandals. Rashford's poor performances have been a major talking point as United have endured a difficult 2023-24, failing to finish in the top 8 for the first time in Premier League history. And he has undoubtedly been one of the reasons why. To add to his woes, Rashford was left out of the England squad for the Euro 2024, a decision that underlined his alarming decline. It was a shocking omission given that he'd previously been a key player for Gareth Southgate's side. Now Rashford must prove he can regain his form, focus and consistency. He must show that his 2022-23 campaign was not a one-off and he can still be the dynamic, game-changing winger that United and England need. The 2024-25 season will be crucial for him to re-establish himself as a top player or risk fading from the elite conversation altogether. So far, Rashford has an average rating of 6.5 since the start of the new season, with no goals or assists, so Marcus will need to raise his game sooner rather than later. The next player hoping to see his star rise again is Anthony Davies. The Bayern Munich left-back was one of the best in his position, well, until last season. After the arrival of Rafael Guerreiro in 2023 and the switch in position of Kimmich and Nazir Razraoui at right back and left back respectively under Thomas Tuchel, Davies has struggled to rediscover the form that made him a household name in 2020 with his outstanding performance in the 8-2 humiliation against Barcelona. By 2023-24, his minutes had dropped and so had his form. The proof was in his impact for Bayern Munich in the Champions League knockout stages. In the 6 games the Germans played to the semi-finals, Davies played just 146 minutes, a full 90 against Arsenal and 2 appearances off the bench against Real Madrid in the semi-final. He may not have even played in the return leg at the Bernabeu, coming on as a substitute due to Serge Gnabry's injury. Yes, he scored Bayern's only goal in Madrid, but overall, his season could be described as his weakest since arriving in Munich. He was heavily linked with a move to Real Madrid in the summer, but ultimately decided to stay at the Allianz Arena and prove his worth under Vincent Kompany. And another player whose downfall should be studied is Gabriel Martinelli. The Brazilian was one of the biggest prospects in Arsenal's academy upon his arrival in 2019, and he actually lived up to his expectations. Until his form dropped significantly in the middle of last season. He faces a crucial 2024-25 campaign as he looks to bounce back from an inconsistent last campaign. After a stellar 2022-23, in which he finished with 15 goals and 6 assists, Martinelli's form dipped. He started well last term, scoring important goals such as the winner against Man City in October, but his influence waned in the second half season. A key factor in Martinelli's drop in form appears to have been Arsenal's tactical setup and the lack of consistent support on the left flank. The departure of Granit Xhaka last summer, who often provided a steady presence in the middle of the park, left a void that Kai Havertz has failed to adequately fill. In addition, the inverted left-back role, often occupied by Alexander Zinchenko and more recently Jurrien Timber, failed to provide the necessary support, leaving Martinelli isolated and exposed to the opposition. His lack of final product and decision-making in the final third also became more apparent, as his replacement by Leandro Trossard later in the season demonstrated. By comparison, the Belgium international worked wonders and was undoubtedly the surprise of the season, scoring crucial goals against Bayern Munich, Porto, Chelsea, Man United, Liverpool. In fact, Trossard scored in more or less every single big game last season, as he continued his excellent form with the opening goal against Aston Villa on matchday 2. Given how solid Arsenal have looked since Arteta's arrival, you can be sure that the best wingers in the world can't wait to put on a Gunner shirt. And one of those could be Rodrigo. Yes, his presence on the list may surprise some of you, as the Brazilian has been one of Real Madrid's key players for the last 3 years. However, since the arrival of Kylian Mbappe, Rodrigo has taken on a secondary role as a superstar. This is evident from the photos uploaded to social media by his teammate Jude Bellingham and Vinicius. Back in pre-season, Jude, Vinny, Mbappe and Rodrigo rested on the sidelines and watched their teammates perform. Naturally, with all the hype surrounding the new super attack that Madrid have, photographers snapped the 4 of them. But Vinicius then cropped his compatriot out of the photo and uploaded it to Instagram without him. Vinny's move was greeted with surprise by pundits, but in the end it sent out a huge message. The future of Real Madrid lies in Jude Bellingham, Kylian Mbappe and Vinicius Jr. Interestingly, it was Rodrigo who scored his team's first goal on the opening day of La Liga against Mallorca. Well, despite his excellent strike, Madrid still failed to win. For the moment, rumours of Rodrigo's departure from Real Madrid have died down, but it remains to be seen whether they'll resurface. In the summer, there were intense transfer talks with Arsenal, who were willing to pay big money for him, as Rodrigo's minutes are likely to be limited. We've only mentioned Vinny, Jude and Mbappe, but add Endrick and Arda Güler to the attacking list, and the situation for Rodrigo's future at the Santiago Bernabeu looks very worrying indeed. Next up, Antony. The Brazilian could easily be described as one of the biggest disappointments of the last 2 years, and certainly one of the worst transfers in Man United history. Despite adding him to the list, we highly doubt that Antony will be able to turn his career around and become a key player for the Red Devils. But if you think otherwise, feel free to voice your opinion in the comments section. Whatever you think, 2024-25 will certainly be crucial for Antony, as he looks to justify the club's £81 million investment following his move from Ajax in 2022. Yes, we all remember him in Amsterdam. He was a standout performer, known for his flair, dribbling and creativity, and he contributed significantly with goals and assists. He scored 9 goals and laid on 8 assists in his first season, and followed that up with 12 contributions in his second. His performance under Erik ten Hag saw him engage as one of the most brightest talents in Europe. However, his transition to Man United was far less successful. Antony managed just 5 goals in 2 Premier League seasons, with a particularly disappointing 2023-24 in which he managed just 1 goal and 1 assist in 29 appearances. His attacking stats were poor, averaging just 1.5 key passes and 1.8 successive dribbles per 90 minutes, well below expectations for a winger of his price tag and previous reputation. In addition, Antony has been embroiled in a serious domestic abuse scandal involving his ex-partner, which has seen him temporarily sidelined while the investigation continued. And to finish off, well, in 2019, Joao Felix would have been on any next-gen or Ballon d'Or potential list. But fast forward 5 years, and Felix is nowhere near the level he showed in his final season at Benfica, which made him the most expensive teenager in history. He has endured an incredible amount of hardship in his career, including struggles for a place in the starting lineup at Atletico Madrid, then the internal problems with Diego Simeone, and the red card on his Chelsea debut against Fulham, the poor half-season at Stamford Bridge, the failure to impress at Barcelona after a promising start, and, of course, the missed penalty against France that sent his country out of Euro 2024. And now, after another rejection from the Atletico board, he's been given another chance by Chelsea, who paid more than €50 million for him. Yes, some would say there's no wrong move for Felix from now on, as he'll be earning tens of millions every year, even if he doesn't start very often. But on the other hand, if Felix wants to reach even a third of his potential, he'll have to show what he's capable of and prove that 2024-25 will be his season. What other examples can you think of? Well, there are a few names that could be added to the list, such as Darwin Núñez and Barca's new talent, Vitor Roque. But if you think of any others, feel free to add them in the comments section below. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed that one. Keep it simple and see you in the next one.